What's up, guys? Shadow and Light here. This is episode number 7 of Light into the Void, your semi-weekly, few times a week, verbal diarrhea, to be vulgar, I'm sorry, of myself on topics present day and EVE Online. And by the way, my real name is Artie Darrell. So, you know, Marcus Eikenberry, who is Marquis Dragon. I love watching his shows. So, Marquis Dragon, as he goes by, it's his game name. He's a businessman. I love that. He's been in business a long time, has been a part of successful companies, very successful companies. Probably, if I'm correct in saying, he was one of the first people to legalize RMT, and then got, the rules changed underneath him, and he had to change companies and change his format of doing business. Had huge internet communities. Anyways, he always starts his video blog off with Marquis Dragon, Marcus Eikenberry in real life. And this is important for today's conversation, because today's conversation is on negativity in EVE Online, but also in the internet in general. And I just want to come out and this is important for the conversation. This is my real name, Artie Darrell. This is who I am. Gilbert Artemis Darrell, if you really care, my full name. And I think it's important for today's conversation that I start off like that, because one of the key reasons that people are unempathetic or sadist or hostile in online communities is because of anonymity is a huge reason, and research backs that up, that I'll share you later. But first and foremost, what's going on with me? Busy day today. Played rugby in Las Vegas with the Las Vegas Blackjacks. Awesome. Had a great time. Don't go to the gym first and then go play rugby. That is a fucking bad idea. I am hurting right now. I should not. I woke up today. I woke up late because I might have been drinking last night. Maybe. I'm not admitting to it. I might have been drinking every night for the last 2 weeks. I'm not admitting to that either. But hey, it's Vegas, and I can either go gamble or drink, and look, drinking is certainly cheaper sometimes. Anyways, so I woke up. I'm like, I'm not going to go to the gym. And then I'm sitting around. Work's over, because I work a lot here, but today was a little bit more controlled than normal. So work got done, and then I'm like, okay, well, I'm bored. So I went to the gym. And then after the gym, I went to Chipotle, which I love. I have a deep love with Chipotle. It's a little pathological. I think I need to stop eating Chipotle. Anyways, then from Chipotle, I did a little bit of gambling. Did well. And then rugby came. Had a great time, but I'm fucking sore. I am sore. So tonight, I got some friends out in town. I probably should take a little bit of a nap and then get out, because it's gonna be another late night tonight. So, what are we talking about today? Today's topic, a conversation. And actually, I've been thinking about this for a few days. I was going to actually put a video out yesterday. Didn't feel right about it. I thought I needed to digest the topic more. And then the day before, same thing. I was just about ready to record. I'm like, I think I just need to think about this more. This is such a heavy topic and so controversial. But I also want to be empowering to those who go through, internet abuse or abuse. It's not internet is the medium, but it's not internet abuse. Like, I don't like when people use cyberbullying. It's just bullying. It's just people being mean to each other. There's no reason for it other than they have a tool that they can do it almost anonymously or without repercussion. That's their thought, right? So one thing I remember saying, and I remember the people I said it to years ago, like, were trying to mock me for it, was, this is my opinion, right? If you're a douchebag online, you're a douchebag in real life. That's my opinion, right? You might be a controlled douchebag in real life because you don't want to get in trouble or face social repercussions, but you're secretly a douchebag. Now, that might not play out for everybody. Some people just might like to be the bad guy in an internet atmosphere. But I think those people would be, if they had a chance, be a bad guy in real life too. They just have an outlet for it, right? They just have the internet, the game, an outlet to do it. So EVE Online is probably unique in some respects on how much of a jerk you can be, and a lot of it is allowed or isn't explicitly disallowed. Now, we've had some recent lines drawn in the sand, and this is how everything works in all social interactions where you have to have some kind of level of control. And this is, honestly, this kind of goes against my philosophy. I'm very libertarian, right? So I want less rules in life. And with any social construct, the push is always for more boundaries, to close in what we would consider in EVE Online a sandbox, to keep putting more walls and make the sandbox smaller. And that's what happens. It's just what happens. Society needs rules, but the fight from people like me should always be, do we really need this rule? Can we go back and, does this rule really need to exist? Can we justify it? And you should always, in my opinion, in my philosophy of life, you should always go back and look at a rule all the time. And it's tough, and it is draining to an extent. So need to find a balance between doing it and not doing it, or just letting it go. Find a balance between, do we really need a rule or do we not? So in EVE, there's been a few examples of a line being crossed with people just being complete jerks. So we had the Erotica 1 scandal for years ago, and forgive me, I just stopped the recording just to go find the article so I can link it in the show notes. But Erotica 1 was a player. I'm sure many of you, this is old news by now, but there's probably a few new listeners. So Erotica 1 was a player who basically set up a scam, and the scam involved you getting on TeamSpeak, and you would give him stuff, and he would play. I don't know all the details because it was a while ago. I don't remember everything. But long story short is, it was a scam that turned into harassment on TeamSpeak. And CCP said, this is just like, I don't even know if they had a conversation with him first that said, please stop this. They just banned him. They banned him and people who were affiliated with it. And what happened was the victim would be put into TeamSpeak, and it turned into like an hours of mental and verbal abuse to get the person further in depth and to get them to give you more stuff, like you were going to get it back. And it just really got ugly. And the level of abuse was so high, CCP just drew a line and said, this is enough. We're done with this. This is gone. But EVE is known for being a harsh universe. And while that guy was a jerk, I always had a problem with him being banned, because you're allowed to be a jerk in life. But I sympathize with CCP's point that maybe this was a bridge too far, right? And there's other scams too. So just recently, CCP said, hey, if you do API-related scams where you take money from players and pretend to double their ISK and then make a fake website that's showing that the API shows that you got paid double your money, double your ISK scams, right? That's just been banned. And that was banned under the auspices that CCP doesn't want to deal with the tickets anymore, because they're getting tickets from players saying, hey, the API said I got paid. Why didn't I get paid? And they're just sick of dealing with that. I guess that was their excuse. But this has been this has been going on. If this particular kind of scam where they had websites showing fake API data for years. So I'm not sure what prompted them to just do it. Just do it now and get rid of it. But when it comes to just jerks, and I'm not saying that they do bad stuff to you. They destroy your ship. They do things that you don't like them to do. I'm talking about their social interactions with you, and in even other games. Let me first say, as a word of advice to you who might be going through this, it sucks. You shouldn't have to put up with it, and you need to toughen up. And I think all of those things can coexist. I think you can recognize that those people are being jerks. I think you can remove them from your social circles, ignore them, block them. Hopefully, if it gets to the level of harassment, report them to the various game that you play, like CCP, for example. If they just won't stop, then report them. If it's somebody that it's in an outside community that's not centered around a game or a social community, report them to the cops. You shouldn't have to go through this, right? There is a bridge too far with this crap, and you shouldn't have to go through it. But let me say this. You need to toughen up as well. Life is fucking hard. Life sucks, right? Life is a challenge, and there are bad people out there who will do bad things to you when given the chance. And they might even do it to your face. Forget it being an online activity that they do just because they have anonymity online to do it to you, right? There's just bad people. And that's just the reality. And I'm sorry. I feel bad. I've gone through it, but I grew up in the fire service. Now, I'm lucky that I went through it, right? But nobody harasses you more, and not really in a loving way many times, than firemen. They're fucking horrible to each other. Horrible. But they also love each other, and they also have each other's back, right? So I went through tons of harassment in the fire service, and we did it to each other. It was 100% mutual. Whatever I got, I gave back tenfold. And it was, you just grew a thick skin. Like, if you're gonna come to work and you're not ready to take some punches, then you're gonna have a bad day. Like, you just need to toughen up. Find the things that are important to you. Do the things that are important to you. And to some extent, I'm not saying being ignorant to the criticisms around you, because that is dangerous. But self-confidence is important. And there has been many times in my life where I've done things that to some people was stupid, idiotic, but I knew, hey, this is on the right path. I know I need to do this. And you just sometimes need to put your head down and go and charge forward, right? But don't be blind to criticism. Take it in measures. You always need to self-assess. You always need to sit down. If you did it once a day, you'd be better than me. If you did it once a week, you'd probably be better than me. You always need to sit down and just think. Okay, so people close to me, some people whose opinion that I really trust or I find important have said, hey, you're fucking up. You're doing A, B, and C wrong. Maybe I should sit down and look at it and just say, hey, I don't think I'm doing it wrong. They might not agree, but I'm going to press forward. And you're either right or wrong. But at least take some time to self-assess. But when it comes to these people who are just unnecessarily harassing you, you just need to toughen up and ignore them. Ignore them. If you're doing something, there's a really good video I'm going to link on dealing with negative people, right? Dealing with this girl calls them haters. It's kind of a cliche term, but okay, fine. People who are just trying to put you down. They're just negative in your life. This goes for real life and online. Just ignore them. At some point, you just need to ignore them. Now, if their criticism is legitimate, and maybe you need to open up your ears sometimes and listen. Maybe sometimes their criticism is legitimate, and they're just being jerks about how they're explaining it. There is a little bit of truth in every lie. So sometimes you need to self-assess, but be strong. Now, another story, when I was a kid, I grew up in a really small school. There were 16 kids in my graduating elementary school. I knew, not only did I know all of them intimately, like I was in school with these 16 people for elementary, which is, what was that, 5 years, I think? 5 years? So I knew all these people very, very, very well. Plus, it was a small town. But we saw each other all the time outside of school anyways. Middle school comes around, and I'm going in the 6th grade. And just how they did the schedule, something happened. 15 of us went to one team in the middle school, big middle school. I went from a little small elementary school to a huge middle school. I went from that environment of a very close-knit family. It was a family. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. I'm a lonely child. So to me, a lot of these people were my family, right? In that aspect of being a young kid in that mindset. You see these people literally all the time. Two, I'm in a completely different, not only am I in a different school team, and all the school teams kind of stay together through classes, I am in a different part of the school. They had an overflow issue, if I can remember everything correctly, and they end up putting my 30 kids with the 8th grade teachers. So I am like, I could not have been farther away from my friends, to be honest, and be in the same building. And what happens when a bunch of kids see a new person they never met before, right? You're a target. Like, I was a target. And I had to rapidly, this is why I think I became so good at making friends and being outgoing, because my defensive mechanism was to ignore the people I thought were morons that didn't like me. I didn't fucking care if you didn't like me, right? I developed that attitude. And two, make friends. Be outgoing, which is not easy for everybody, and make friends. Ignore the people that you don't like, that you don't feel add anything to your life. If they're a negative in your life, and you've already self-assessed that they're just being jerks for no reason, or they're just being jerks because they're just hateful people, get rid of them. Ignore them. Kick them out of your life. I don't care if it's your girlfriend, your wife, your boyfriend, your husband. There becomes a time when these people become cancerous in your life, and you just need to separate. Family members, like luckily my family's pretty good, but I've had friends in my life who just became toxic. I had a kid I grew up with who the second he gets into college just completely changes his mentality, becomes just an absolute douchebag, right? Unfortunately, we had to stop being friends, and he was one of those 16 kids because he just completely changed the script. His personality changed. You need to remove that from your life, and it sucks. And in an online environment, it might be a lot harder, but you just need to focus and get past it. And that was my first experience. I was lucky for it. Initially, I hated it, and I didn't realize the advantage of being that brand new kid in a group of 29 other kids who all know each other for their whole life, and I was the new kid on the block coming in and getting the brunt of the abuse for the first few months until I ignored the people who I thought were morons, and I became really good friends with people who I'm friends with still literally to this day. I could call a few of these people without a doubt, and they would fly halfway around the world for me. You can't. What are you gonna say about people like that, right? Those are people you want in your life, and it's tough to find them. So I read a study. Well, let me back up a little bit. So I have two videos I'm going to link to you. One is about how to deal with trolls and haters and stuff like that. It's a very good video. There's another video about that you can be overconfident. Now, I used to practice martial arts a lot, and I truly believe that you need balance in life. But many times you balance out in aggregate, right? So sometimes when I'm working really hard, like I'm at the gym, and if you know Elliot Hughes, he's a big gym fitness person, but he's also kind of a motivational speaker. The guy's got his head on pretty straight, in my opinion. I like a lot of his concepts, and he had a video he just put out. I'll see if I can track it down and link it, about you have to find a balance. But when he's working out, he's in the gym, he's very high energy. Go, 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 go. He's going to work out until he stops. Now, that's not balanced, right? But in aggregate, you go balls to the wall with a project, with work, with your love life, with going to the gym. And then at some point that day or later in the week, you need to do the reverse. You need to have the light with the dark with the light, the high energy with the rest. Like, you need both, right? So it's important to find a balance. And with this video, it's a TED Talk, pretty good one. Some TED Talks are pretty cheesy. This one's all right. About how this guy realized, and he's a physician, he's a doctor, a PhD, I think, and his studies were in overconfidence, how you can be overconfident. So I wanted to link that to give you the other side. Like, one person is saying, be confident, and myself included, push through it. The other person is saying, look, to deal with negativity in your life, sometimes you can't be overconfident. Sometimes you need to self-realize and self-check. Okay, enough of the psychobabble. Now, wow, enough of that psychobabble. Here's some more psychobabble. Research has shown, this is a super article. This article is fantastic, right? This article is called, it was in a journal, Personality and Individual Differences. And the article is literally named, Trolls Just Want to Have Fun. And it has a bunch of keywords, sadism, trolling, cyber trolls, anti-internet or antisocial internet behavior, personality disorder, dark triad or dark triad. I've seen a lot of words in my life, and this one was kind of new to me. Sorry. The abstract basically says of the 1,200 people that they had surveyed. Now, I'm in medicine, and I read many articles monthly, if not a few times a week. I'll read some articles that often. This study is a little bit of a low population, but I think it's a pretty good study, and there's not a ton of research out there on internet trolling yet. I think psychology is just starting to catch up with how people interact online. Look, they're so busy dealing with people, how they act in their real life. Like, online doesn't get as much attention as it maybe deserves, but the abstract is priceless. Of the 1,200 that completed this survey, there was overall strong positive associations, I'm quoting, emerged among online commenting frequency, trolling enjoyment, and trolling identity, pointing to a common construct underlining the measures. There's a relation, paraphrasing, between trolling, which is correlatedly positively related, trolling correlated positively with sadism. Sorry, here we go. These guys can't write a sentence. With sadism, psychopathology, and Machiavellism, using both enjoyment ratings and identity scores. Basically, and I'll link the article for you to read it to yourself, with another abstract from another scientific paper, better explained it, is that these people, these internet trolls, enjoy being jerks. They enjoy it. They enjoy inflicting pain on others. And they use the words narcissism, sadism. So I thought it was important to outline what sadism is, right? So sadism, here's a quote I got from the dictionary. A sadist is someone who enjoys inflicting pain on others. Sadists like seeing other people hurt. They are an opposite of a masochist who enjoys being in pain. A sadist wants to inflict pain on other people. Sometimes, now I don't think internet sadists are of this ilk, but sadists in the real world do it because sometimes it's a sexual issue for them. They enjoy the power of being in charge and being jerks. And you should see the graph on the linking between their comments and how they would react in certain social situations online and where they rank in all these negative traits. I mean, unless you assume that being a sadist or being a narcissist and enjoying hurting other people is positive. I don't think that's really positive. But you should see the links. The chart data is pretty striking of a small population, 1,200 people. So, where does that bring us? There are bad people in life. Okay? There are jerks. There are people who are mean for no reason. EVE Online seems to attract a lot of them. And number one, you need to toughen up. As a human being, you need to toughen up. The person who's dealing with these people, right? They're angry, hateful people at baseline in my experience. They don't like themselves, so they don't like you. Especially if you're doing something that they find positive or outgoing, or they find some reason not to like you, or they need to make themselves feel better by picking on somebody else. These are just bad people. And hopefully one day they'll get their shit together, but that's not your problem right now. Your problem is not to fix them, right? You need to get outside of that negative situation and have positivity in your life. And like I always have said this entire episode, don't ignore criticism, but take it with a grain of salt. But you certainly need to reflect on it. But these people who are just jerks for no reason, fuck them. Who cares? Fuck them. Especially in EVE, but not especially in EVE. In any community. And they use the anonymous nature as a shield. And that's why it has always been important to me. I recognized this when I first started playing EVE, maybe a few months into it, that as a self-control for my ego, I recognize this behavior, but I don't think I fully understood it. But I said, hey, maybe they're being jerks to others because they probably hate themselves, right? They're probably just angry, spiteful people internally, so they reflect that externally. But also, they don't interact on a personal level, right? And I think one way that I've combated that internally, because we all can be mean, spiteful people at times. I mean, we're all human. We all make mistakes. And one thing I did as a self-check was just say, hey, this is my real name. This is my real person. I am real life friends with, I would easily say, a dozen people that I've met in the game. Like we call one another on the phone. Like we see each other at EVE meets. Like real human beings that I'm friends with that I've met over the years. They go on vacation with me. A few of my friends, maybe 4 or 5, like they'll go to Bermuda with me. They'll go to Las Vegas. They'll go to California. Like I've been on vacations with these people. With me and my exes have gone with them. Like these are real friends of mine, and that's because I I think instinctively said, I need to be a real person. And by doing so, by being a real person, it checked my ego, honestly. I think that was the big takeaway from that. So to those of you out there going through bullying or just, jerk people in EVE, the community that I'm most familiar with in the internet or in real life, remove those negative people from your space. Be confident about yourself. I'm a big advocate of exercise and eating healthy. I think that'll, if you're feeling a little bit depressed or down on yourself and you're not able to build that level of confidence to ignore these people and you keep letting their negativity soak into your head, I think you need to get out there, go work out, get some sunlight, eat some good food. Stop eating crap food. You know exactly what you're doing. The pizzas, the sodas, the donuts or high calorie, high carb. Get all that crap out of your life. Take a vitamin, take a multivitamin, take a vitamin D. Take care of yourself, right? Go to the gym. I feel much better myself, when I exercise. And ignore these people. Just ignore them. Just get rid of them. Get them out of your life. Get them out. I hope I've been a help. And there's a few good communities online in the EVE community I'll link to. For veterans, the Best of Us, you could Google it. Jay McClain runs the EVE Best of Us. If you're dealing, if this is kind of a self-help podcast, it just happens to be a little bit EVE focused, but reach out to the Best of Us if you're an EVE player and you're a military vet or you're currently serving. Great channel. Helps veterans deal with PTSD and just the stress of being in the military and find people who understand that. And it also, there is a broadcast for reps, which helps people if you're having a tough time. You just, hey, how do I deal with these morons? Just come talk to them. The broadcast for reps channel, it's a channel in game. It's I believe is a channel in Slack. Actually, I think that's where they're most active is in Slack. So Tweetfleet type in Tweetfleet Slack in Google. And Aderon Robotics is a corporation who made a pretty easy way to get into Tweetfleet Slack through their auth tool. It's easy. It's not hard. It doesn't require anything. Or just email me. shadowlighteve@gmail.com is my game. rdarrell@gmail.com if you want to just email me, like my real life email. And I hope you guys deal with these people and ignore them, and maybe as a community we can work on just removing a lot of the negativity. I mean, look at all the crap that happened with CCP Fozzie, right? People were just throwing. It wasn't even just I think you screwed up kind of attacks. They were just throwing grenades at him, like you should die, fuck off, hope you get fired. Really just ridiculous, over the top shit because they didn't like some of the mechanics. Which, let me tell you something. I think FozzieSov has been much more successful than many people want to let on, and that none of his critics, I think, are going to really come back and say, oh, well, maybe we were wrong. So, anyways, Shadow and Light, Light Into the Void, Episode 7. I don't know what I'm going to call this yet. Dealing with internet trolls? I don't like that. Dealing with negative people in communities, and including EVE Online? I don't know. It'll be something like that. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you like this, subscribe, send me comments. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can subscribe on SoundCloud. You can watch it on eoc.tv. If you have any comments, any suggestions for future episodes, I try to do an episode per podcast, right? I try to make it quick. This one runs a little bit long. Maybe future ones will be this long, or probably I would imagine they'd be a little shorter than this one. This one's going to be run a little long in comparison. But if you have any positive comments, any negative comments, I'm a big boy. Not going to hurt my feelings. Level them at me. If you have any questions, if I can help, send me an email. Peace.